Welcome to the Rustic Garden Homestead. Today we're going to shoot video number 2 of probably 4 in growing large tomatoes for 2019. These are my 2 entry tomatoes for the 2019 grow-off. I'm challenging Jess of Roots and Refuge, Kim of CaliKim, and other viewers to see who can grow the largest tomato, the most weight, and also in the back is the red beefsteak. Who can grow the overall best red beefsteak tomato plant? I'm growing the Big Zack in the front. I'll give you a up-close look at those plants in a second. Today I'm going to show you how to top dress. You could use worm castings, which I'm going to be using. I'm using worm castings from Terra. I highly recommend them. Check out my video description for how you can get a discount on their product. We're going to mulch. We're going to lightly prune. I'll talk about staking and just taking care of your large tomato plants and some strategies you may want to do. Plants are a good, 2 feet, maybe 30 inches tall now. I think they've been growing maybe, maybe 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Not exactly sure. Got 2 nice looking tomatoes in there. Get that out of the way of the Big Zack. If you're growing tomatoes for size, you have to start deciding, do you want to remove some of the flowers? Let the energy go to a couple main tomatoes if you're trying to, kind of get that award-winning tomato, so to speak. If you're doing county fairs, that may be something you want to do. And you would just cut these flowers back so that all the energy coming into the leaves are going to a couple tomatoes. I'm not sure I'm going to do that. Last year I didn't do that a whole lot. I just want to see what the plants can do. Actually, there's a third tomato right around that side. Here is the red beefsteak. This plant is massive. Look at the stem in there. So that needs a little bit of pruning. Lots of flowers. I don't think I saw any tomatoes on here yet. This is growing in CaliKim's signature fabric pot, and a lot of people said it looked too shallow. Well, I can tell you, I'll lift it up a little. I don't think you'll be able to hear it. Did you hear that ripping? The root system is growing through the bottom of the bag into the soil surface, and that's because moisture is staying down there. So this is not going to be an issue. And you can see how well this tomato is really doing. It is not staked well enough for it to really hold up the weight of this plant that it's going to become, but you can use a couple basic bamboo stakes just to hold it upright so that it's not sagging anywhere. And I'm going to have to be dropping stakes in here and come up with some sort of system. Using a double stake there, making an X, as in X marks the spot for the winning tomato plant. So let me bring the camera down there. I'm going to talk to you about pruning, show you how to do the top dressing or side dressing, some people call it, and talk about the benefits of mulch. So obviously the first thing you want to mostly do is take away most of the weeds. And we're going to drop down mulch. The reason that you put mulch down is because it'll create a layer on the surface. It will help you conserve water, reduce waterings, and it will keep the moisture in the soil. Tomatoes send out lots of surface roots from the stem, and they go all over the place. So putting the mulch down keeps moisture there, keeps your tomato plants happy. Top dressing really is about taking your organic fertilizer. I'm using worm castings here. I'm going to take a handful and I'm just going to sprinkle it around the base of the plant. So that's one handful. I would take a second handful, go around the other side. If you wanted to, you could scatter more around the top. As I said, the surface roots go all over the place when you're growing tomato plants. So you just drop your organic fertilizer on top, mulch over it, let the rain come in, soil biology will break this down, get it down into the root system. Nothing fancy. You could go ahead and put the mulch down first, and you can top dress or side dress right on top of the mulch if you want to. Now, I use a double shredded hardwood. You can use any really wood mulch that you may have local to you. A lot of people can't find this. It doesn't have to be double shredded or shredded hardwood or triple shredded hardwood. I just like this because it's finely shredded. It breaks down much more quickly than your standard wood chunks, and this will be rendered to a nice fertilizer over a year or two. And that's why I prefer it. The more finely something is shredded up, the more surface area there is, the more quickly the soil biology breaks it down into a useful form of NPK and other nutrients for your plants. So that's quickly how I do the top dressing, and then I'll throw down maybe an inch of the shredded hardwood all over here. I'll show you what that looks like at the end of the video. Now, I also want to talk about pruning. You want to reduce some of the growth on the bottom of the plant, but you don't want to take away so many leaves so quickly that you shock the plant or you remove the leaves that are bringing energy to the plant from the sun. So the general rule of thumb is don't take more than 20% of the leaves off a plant at once. That's kind of high as it is. So you just get in there, clip off a couple of branches, and that's it. Slowly remove the leaves out. There's a couple on the other side I would get, and then I would just leave this like this for a while. When it grows another 6, 8, 10 inches, I'll remove a couple more leaves, and I try and get 10 or 12 inch gap between the soil and the bottom leaves, but do it slowly. Don't over prune your plants. That's a mistake that I used to make years ago, is just taking too much of the plant away. Just let it grow. You can kind of be patient. You can kind of prune here and there. There's no perfection in pruning. It's more of an art. So we create the gap. Reason you do that is in case there's any soil-borne diseases, it's harder for it to splash up onto the leaves, and also air will circulate through here, keep the plants dry, reduce fungal infections and problems like that. Now, do you have to prune? You do not. You do not have to prune. If you're in an area where you don't get a lot of tomato problems, you can just let your plant go and it's going to do really well. Okay, let's get in closer. I want to show you how to remove some of the suckers in there and show you what they are. Let me grab the camera. So there's the total gap that I've cut out for now. Don't overdo it. 20% might even be too much. You know, maybe 15% of the plant. Just don't take away too many leaves. You want them to be there so the sun hits more leaves, you get more energy to your plant takes off. This is all I took off. And I'll do that again when the plant maybe gets another 10 inches of growth. For the top dressing or the side dressing, I forgot to say, and people always ask how often do I do it. I do it maybe 2 or 3 times a year. I do it at this point when you start seeing the tomatoes form, or if the plant's about that size over there, the tomatoes aren't quite there, go ahead and top dress. And again, just scatter it around. Never lump your fertilizers right at the stem. If for some reason the fertilizer damages the system of the plant, the root system, because maybe it's too much, it's hard to do, but it's possible, don't pile it on. You kill the plant root system here, you kill everything off that comes out this way because you're killing it right at the base. If you drop fertilizer out here and there's some damage, you're not killing the root system on the surface all the way back to the stem. So 2 or 3 times a year. When would I do it again? Second time would be when this is really producing. I've been picking tomatoes. The heat of the summer's coming, the plant's a little beat up, I'm going to feed it again. And maybe at the end of the year, if things are going well, give it another boost. So, pruning. We've removed leaves, so leaves is one way to prune. You take the leaves away. The other thing is to identify and remove suckers. So, what is a sucker? A sucker is nothing more than a production stem. Here is what a sucker looks like. This will grow into leaves and flowers, and it will look just like this. It'll be leaf, flower usually, and it comes out of the joint where there's a leaf and the main stem. What does that mean? So if this finger, middle finger, not being rude, was the main stem, thumb was the leaf, right in there, this finger is the new sucker, or the new production stem. That's going to grow leaves and flowers. And you can see it right here. Main stem, leaf, comes all the way out to here. You can see how big it is. Main stem continues straight up, and then the new production stem starts there, or the sucker. I'm going to remove that. I'm going to look in here. Right here was a leaf that came out. Main stem, this whole part here is a sucker. I'm going to remove that too. Down here, main stem, the leaf came out here before I cut it off. Going to remove that too. So here's my main stem. It comes up, twists over this way actually, and this is a sucker that has grown into the full production stem. You can see leaves, 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 another sucker, flowers up there, but I've decided to tie that to this post. So I'm going to keep at least the main stem in here. So this is really called, you know, double stem pruning. It gets confusing, don't worry about that. So you see that I've cleared out a couple of the suckers, and now I have to make some decisions. I got a production stem right here. What is that stuck on? I got a production stem here. I got one over here. I have one back there that has flowers on it. You have to decide how many do you want to keep. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just take this one back here off, and I'm going to make a decision and take this one off. And I'm going to let it be. And this is the total that I've taken from the plant. So I'll have the two main stems growing up here. I'll decide what I want to do. Because this is an indeterminate tomato variety, it will continue to grow and grow and grow, and in most places where there's a leaf that comes out, main stem that goes up, another sucker's going to form, or another production stem. And this is just a way to manage the size of the plant. Hope that makes sense, gives you some ideas what to do. And I would say, look, do it exactly this way. That's the only way to do it, the way the rustic gardener says, but that's a bunch of garbage. You don't have to prune. There's a million different ways to prune, but this guy looks ready to go. Lots of leaves. To tie it to your stake, just use some jute. It's biodegradable, made from plant fiber. Leave a nice gap in there so you don't smash this against your tomato stake, and your plant should do perfectly fine. So this plant is ready to go. I probably will give it a drink of water-soluble fertilizer this week. I'll shoot that in another video. But this is basically how I like to grow large tomatoes. Don't over prune it. I don't like to keep just one stem, but let enough leaves be in there so the tomatoes grow, and we'll see how many tomatoes I decide to keep. My gut feeling is I'm probably going to leave a lot, and we'll just hope one gets really large. Thanks for watching. Good luck to all of you that are in the tomato grow-off. Want to apologize for not being organized well enough on Gardening Coast to Coast to set something up every Monday. I'm going to try and do that now. If not, I'll do it tomorrow. But we're going to make an announcement, pin it to the top, and it's all going to be about the tomato grow-off for June, July, and August till we get to the final weighing. Just getting kind of busy here at the homestead and trying to stay above water. Thanks so much for watching my channel, and good luck in the tomato grow-off.